Okay, so I'm recording this, and after a little bit later on today, I'm going to circulate the recording link. So it will be possible to watch it all again. And also I also have some notes that you're very welcome to have, which I can send out to you, and I'll tell you all about those as we're talking. While I'm doing the presentation, I think it might be helpful because there's quite a few of us. If you could mute your Zoom, but please do feel free to ask questions, and there will be time for Q&A at the end. So I'm still expecting a few people to join in, but I'm going to make a start because we're beginning just really with introductions. And I'm going to begin by sharing a presentation, most of the talk today. So, okay, so I'm going to be talking about AI, what it is. Okay, so we're going to be looking at OpenAI and Midjourney, that are sort of the preeminent providers of AI in the way that it's easy to access. I'm going to be talking about some example applications. We're going to talk about how you instruct the AI, and this is called prompt engineering. I'm going to give a few examples in detail, and then I'm going to talk about actually some of the downsides that are associated with these developments, things that we should be thinking about for the future, and how you can hope to stand up and to win at interior design with all of the future technology that's coming our way. I'm also at the end going to tell you exactly how to access both systems. And I have some resources that I'll be offering to share with you as well at the end of the presentation. Now, I'm very fortunate that I know quite a few of you already. It's nice to have friendly faces. I know some of you from KLC, where I worked there for about 19 years. I was a lecturer and then ultimately a director of the college. And now I rely on 25 years experience as well of teaching and practicing interior design to run a boot camp for interior designers and to offer one-to-one business coaching. So I am going to be talking a little bit about my boot camp, but this is really the only commercial that you're going to get through this presentation, because the boot camp is something that I run live online 3 times a year. It's 5 weeks long, 5 hours per week, and it comes with 5 one-hour one-to-ones. And I'm going to be talking about AI and how it can help you with business planning, financial forecasting, and planning your marketing, among many other things, because we use AI in bootcamp to sort of effectively catapult us forward far faster in business strategic development than would have been possible previously. So I'm going to start by talking about AI and what it is, because there's been a revolution that has happened since October 22. Prior to that, obviously, AI has been developing at a pace, but we were looking at traditional AI, and traditional AI used logic and it used large data sets in order to work with existing information. So it was sort of superpowered existing information. What's happened really in the last, well, since 2017, but then since OpenAI released ChatGPT, we now have this new form of AI, and it's called generative AI. And rather than working logically with existing materials, this is innovative AI. It creates brand new concepts, and as a result, it has massively expanded the opportunities for using AI within our businesses. Now, because it's creative and because it's making new stuff, it's not always entirely reliable. It's known to what they call hallucinate. And so when you're working with generative AI, it's really important that you fact check. Particularly, obviously, if something is important, the veracity of something is important to the work that you're doing. Now, a quick piece of terminology. I'm going to be talking to you about writing prompts. And this is a common word that's used all the time now with AI. And basically that means the written instruction that you give to the system in order to get the output that you want. So basically, it's the brief that you write. And we're going to be looking at structuring prompts in order to get the best out of the systems that we're going to be looking at. So I said that we were going to look at two companies, and the first one of these is OpenAI, and it's probably the biggest player in the field. And it's possibly also the most famous because it was in October 22 when it released ChatGPT that all of this opportunity suddenly blossomed. Now, ChatGPT is a chatbot system that you can speak to as if, or write to, as if it was another human being, except in this case, it's a human being that knows everything that there is to know on the internet. So you can have a normal conversation, you can send it off to do stuff for you, and it's going to come back with some really interesting, powerful, well-researched, well-resourced findings. So that was the first version that OpenAI put out into the market. OpenAI spent about $100 million on resources to train ChatGPT. So that was the very first version that hit the market. They also have a drawing product called DALL-E. And DALL-E is, you give it a written prompt and it produces an image. So ChatGPT gives you words and spreadsheets and verbal output, whereas DALL-E gives you images. Now, there have been various subsequent versions, new versions have come through. So just recently we got GPT-4, and GPT-4 was a big step up on ChatGPT. And if you look at the free versions that you can run, I think you can get ChatGPT for free. We're going to be looking at how you access these systems later, but you have to pay if you want to get to GPT-4. Now, to give you some idea of the difference, when OpenAI trained GPT-4, they spent $1 billion on resources to train GPT-4. They have now bundled GPT-4 with DALL-E, the drawing program, to create something that does everything. It writes, it draws, it speaks, it listens, it does absolutely everything. And they've called it GPT-4o. I'm sorry, I'm getting into the weeds a little bit here, but the thing that I also want to tell you is that later this year, they've already trained it. They're bringing out GPT-5. Now, they spent $100 million on ChatGPT, $1 billion on GPT-4, and they have spent $10 billion training GPT-5. So you can imagine that there's going to be another massive leap up in the capabilities of these systems. I would really encourage you to look at their website and check out Sora. Now, Sora is an AI system for creating animations. And it creates animations in the same way that DALL-E creates images, just with a verbal prompt. And the animations that Sora creates are absolutely stunning. They're incredible. And it's worth having a look because they are generated from just a simple sentence. So you write a simple sentence, you get an incredible animation. It's so powerful that OpenAI are actually not releasing it until after the US elections because they're worried about the impact of this incredibly powerful AI on the outcome of the US elections. So you can't use it yet, but you will be able to use it later in the year. The other system that we're going to look at today is a system called Midjourney. And it is a system that generates images. Now, DALL-E generates images over on OpenAI. However, Midjourney, in my opinion, I think generally accepted, is just the best at producing images to a given prompt. So as we go through the presentation today, I'm going to be showing you GPT-4 and I'm going to be showing you mid-journey. I'm going to be giving you demonstrations of both of those. Now, this is a horrible slide. I hate putting so many images, so many words onto a slide, but the reason that these are here is just to demonstrate the incredible versatility of these systems in terms of what they can do for you and your business. And so how you use AI in your business is really just limited by your imagination. So you can generate mood boards, you can do financial analysis, you can do sustainability optimization, where you put your project proposal into AI and get it to check the sustainable options and suggest even better sustainable options where those exist. You can do business planning, which is how we use it in Bootcamp. You can get it to write, and marketers are using it to write metadata for websites. You can get it to do blog and article writing. You have to be really careful here because it tends to churn out pretty generic text, and Google's crawlers can see that it is not the highest quality. And you might have your website SEO affected if you use too much AI-generated text on your website. So if you're thinking about using it for blog posts and that kind of thing, then the best thing to do is to augment it with case studies and with interesting examples, because the AI won't put that in. So there are ways of working with it to improve it, but oh my goodness, you know, the number of things that you can use this for is just extraordinary. And we're going to have a look at a couple of examples. Just coming all the way down to the penultimate item, I'm going to talk about psychology as well, human psychology, and analysis and support within the area of client management, which I have found to be extraordinary where AI is concerned. So these systems will get you, I would say, 50 to 80% of the way there. So if a project would normally take you 3 hours to produce something, you can probably do it in an hour using AI. That's a massive generalization. Sometimes it will do the entire thing for you. Sometimes it's only really halfway there. So obviously you still need to be in the driving seat, but it is a massive step forward and an incredible advantage to take into your business. So I'm going to talk to you quickly about prompt engineering. So GPT-4, prompt engineering, the quality of what you get out is entirely dependent on what you put in. And prompt engineering, writing briefs to instruct AI, is becoming a job role. And it's a skill that everybody is going to have, because we're going to be working hand in hand with these systems. We need to be able to instruct them. So a good prompt, a good brief, if you're working with a system like GPT-4o, is you need to tell it your objective. So first up, what is it that you want to achieve? Why are you engaging with the system? Then you would tell it the role you want it to play. So you would say something like, you are a preeminent researcher into human psychology. You have a doctorate in the subject. You are highly respected. You give it this role that you want it to play. And then you give it all of the relevant background information that is required for it to be able to give you a really good response. You give it a full description of the task that you want completed, and you make sure that you include within the prompt any particular concepts that have to be featured within the material that it's going to be producing. So that is a good prompt. Now, I find often when I'm working with GPT-4 and it's doing some writing for me or it's planning something for me, it's going to save me 2 or 3 hours. I believe that 10 minutes upfront taken in writing a really thoughtful prompt is time well spent. So I might spend 10 or 15 minutes writing a prompt, put it in, and I get something out that would then ultimately have saved me 2 or 3 hours because I no longer have to do all of that hard graft myself. if you want to see an example, and I'm going to show you some other examples, but this one really astounded me. This is from my website. You can see the web address on the slide. And it was a series of exercises I went through with GPT-4 where I explained some difficulties I was having with a client. And I got GPT-4 to help me think through the best way to handle the client and the situation, a kind of a script to use when I was dealing with them. It was incredibly sensitive, incredibly helpful. And I would suggest that if you're interested in seeing the entire conversation with the AI, you can see it on my blog. It's the most recent article that I've put up. So that really astounded me when I went through that process. So I use GPT-4 for writing things from scratch, or if I've written something, I'll upload it into GPT-4 and I'll get it to edit it for me. On Bootcamp, we get it to do our business planning, our marketing planning, and we save ourselves literally hours of time by drawing in the AI to be our assistants in these exercises. It's fantastic at structuring, absolutely brilliant at organizing ideas and putting them into the right order, and also helping you pad out and deliver your presentation as well. It can help you to interact with other tech systems on the internet. So if you're a little bit unsure as how to work with another program, it can tell you exactly how to do it in basic language that we can all understand. As I said, it can help us analyze our client behaviors and help us work with clients and, understand their psychology a little bit better. And now, increasingly, I just use it all the time, even for internet search. So it's really phenomenally powerful and incredibly useful. So I'm going to try and do a demo. Now, I didn't want to demo the tech live here because I was terrified. So I decided that what I would do is screen grab the same thing yesterday. So I'm going to share with you a recording that I made yesterday using GPT-4. So this is the GPT-4 interface. So this is what the screen looks like. And down where I've put the red box at the bottom, that's where you type in your prompt. So this is, I'm going to tell you exactly how to get to this page. I'm going to tell you, later on in the presentation, I'll give you full instructions. But this is an app that I have downloaded onto my laptop so that I can interface direct with GPT-4 through the app instead of having to go through a web browser. You can go through a web browser, but I find this really nice and clean and tidy. So my prompts go into the red box. Up the top, you have a drop-down menu. Now, I have a full suite of tools here because I pay for this service. So I use GPT-4o, which is the top performing one, the current most, the highest, most highly trained one. But there are lesser versions that you can use. And in fact, as you click down through these, you even get to explore GPTs. And the Explore GPTs is off AI's platform. It's other apps that have this functionality built into them. So things like Canva now has this built in so that you can use AI to help you when you're working with Canva. If you head over to the left-hand side of the screen, I can drop down or I can reveal the sidebar. And in the sidebar are all the historical chats that I've had with GPT-4. Now, every time I have a chat with GPT-4, I create a new chatbot. And I spend time briefing that chatbot. I tell it who it is, and I tell it what its role is, and I give it a load of information. Now, if I train a chatbot to help me with my social media marketing, the last thing I want to do is then ask it, how do I cook an apple in an air fryer? Because I'm going to pollute it. It's going to stop being really great at marketing and it's going to get polluted. So you want to keep your chatbots pure, and you can pick them up from the left-hand side anytime you want, and you can continue the conversation that you've been having with that in that chat. If you're starting a new one, you simply go down to the message chat GPT at the bottom and you begin your new prompt there. So these are, you can see down the sidebar on the left-hand side. I can minimize that if I want. But to speak to GPT-4, I then paste in a prompt that I have created already. And I spoke to Sonia, who I don't think can be here today, but we were talking about perhaps looking at marketing as being something that GPT-4 could help us with. So this is a prompt that I've created. I've written it in another program, cut and pasted it and just dropped it into this chat thing. And I'm asking GPT-4 to help me come up with a strategy to increase my market in LinkedIn. So I'm trying to work specifically in LinkedIn. Once I hit go, it starts generating. So this is it, generating a strategy for me, a marketing plan to use in LinkedIn. And it'll keep going until I get to the bottom here. And you can see that at the bottom of what it has generated, we have the first little symbol means I can copy it. So I could copy the whole thing and paste it into another program. The second little button allows me to regenerate. So I could have another go with the same prompt. The thing about these systems are that they are innovative, they're creative. So if I ask it the same question another time, I'm going to get a slightly different answer. It's not like traditional AI where there is one correct answer. This thing is going to keep thinking about it, and it might come up with different ideas each time. There's also the opportunity to have it read all of this aloud to me, and it will read it to you and sound completely human in the way that it reads. Or I can mess around with which model I'm using in order to generate this particular outcome. Now, I mentioned that I have some notes associated with this presentation. They are free. I'm happy to send them to anybody who wants them. And the notes include, among other things, the prompts that I put into the system and the whole of LinkedIn strategy that it then generated as a result of my prompt. So I'm very happy to send those to you if you would like to see them. So I'm going to stop sharing that and come back to you with the presentation. So let's go back into the presentation. Now, so that's GPT-4. So GPT-4 can do images, but I prefer Midjourney, which I'm going to speak to you about now. And indeed, these are images that I've taken from Instagram from people who are working in Midjourney. So if you look at an account on Instagram called Midjourney Architecture, you get to follow accounts like these. Now, some of them, Becky and the bots here, are, super creative, very artistic. We've got more Juan and Jonas Peterson, who I think is actually really well known with his art that he creates with AI. And all of these artists are working with Midjourney, as well as programs like Photoshop, using Photoshop's generative AI plugins as well. So on the screen, I'm showing you some of the images that I've created in Midjourney recently to help me make my output look more interesting or to help illustrate points in presentations. And they are so simple to make. So I'm going to show you in a second how to make an image on Midjourney. And at the end of the presentation, I'm going to tell you how you can access both ChatGPT and Midjourney if you want to try using these systems yourself. Now, Midjourney as well needs a prompt. All of these AI systems rely on you giving them the right information up front in order to get the best outcome. So a Midjourney prompt, if you were looking, for example, to create a photorealistic interior, the mid-journey prompt that you would give might include the room type, so kitchen, bedroom, bathroom, the style of the design, any focal point that you want, the textures and materials that you want to have in the image, any details, the color palette, what sort of lighting you want, the location of the project, the time of day, the mood you want to capture, the style of architecture, the camera angle, and the aspect ratio. So, you know, whether it's a landscape picture or a portrait picture. And Midjourney takes aspect ratio as --AR, no space. So --AR, then a space, and then the aspect ratio that you want your final image to come out in. So now I'm going to show you a Midjourney demonstration that I also recorded yesterday, so bear with me. Now, Midjourney is a little bit more complicated. So this is the Midjourney interface. Now, it is much less beautiful. It looks quite complicated, but all you really need to look at is the vertical band in the middle. Okay, now I have put in there a sort of garish comic-like image of the Australian bush. So that brightly colored thing is where we're looking, and we're going to look just below that. And I'm going to show you how we prompt Midjourney. So every Midjourney, I'm prompting right at the very bottom in the window there. And every time you want to make an image in Midjourney, you start by typing /imagine. So that is the beginning to any Midjourney image prompt. Then, as I previously did, you cut and paste in, or you can type directly into the box, but I like to prepare my prompts in advance. So you cut and paste in something that you've previously written, and here is the prompt that I've written for an image that I want Midjourney to produce. So the prompt is, imagine a shaker-style contemporary fitted kitchen looking directly at an Aga-style range cooker. The cabinets are painted in dark green with the tongue and groove bordered walls above in an off-white paint. There are small brass handles on the cabinets and a timber shelf at head height with decorative objects, blue and white Chinese crockery, copper pots and glasses. The kitchen is in a modest Georgian country cottage. In the English countryside, there are pools of light cast from discrete wall fittings, and the setting sun lends a warm glow to surfaces through small cottage windows. And I've given it the aspect ratio that I want. Okay, so then I hit go, and I get it to generate. So down at the bottom of that prompt, it's saying waiting to start. It's at 0%, 10%, 15%, 22%. By the time it gets to 35%, I'm starting to see the beginning of the images that it's generating. Okay, it continues generating, and the resolution is giving me 4 options. The resolution is getting crisper and crisper as it generates the 4 options. So ultimately, I'm going to end up with 4 pictures, and I can choose the one that I want to work with. Now, below these 4 images, there are 2 rows of instructions, basically, that I can give to the system. So these images are labeled clockwise from top left. So the top left image is number 1, top right is number 2, dropping down to bottom right is number 3, and bottom left is number 4. And I can use any of the buttons below to upvote one of those images to pick the image I want to work with, or I could pick vary. I could pick V, and I could vary one of those images, and it would have another go. I'm going to, sorry, I've just put a nasty banner in the middle of that. I'll wait for it to go. I'm going to upvote number 2 because it's the one that looks closest to me, to the look that I wanted. And now it's going to increase the resolution on that image. And if I click on it, there you are. That's the image that it has created for me based on the prompt that I gave it. Now, if you look on, this is how you get started. If you look on YouTube, there are so many videos telling you how to finesse this, how to get a little bit better at it. But actually, I've never had to, because these come out so brilliantly in the first instance that they're just, perfectly ready to use. So that is Midjourney. That's how it works. And I'm going to show you how to access it just before the end of the presentation. So I need to crack on because we're running out of time. So I want to talk to you about the cons, okay? Because there is a big elephant in this room. The elephant in the room is that this is a report that was written by Harvard Business School, Imperial College Business School, and German Institute for Economic Research. And it discovered that since ChatGPT launched in October 22, looking at 2 million freelance job vacancy adverts for writers and coders were down 21%. And adverts for graphic designers and 3D modelers were down 17%. Now, this doesn't necessarily prove that GPT-4 was the cause of all of this, but it certainly looks like creatives working in sort of very singular skills like photography, writing, coding, 3D modeling are being pushed out by the fantastic power that's coming in terms of these AI systems. Now, we're quite lucky because as interior designers, we work in a very complex way. So we don't just do one thing, we do lots and lots and lots and lots of things, and they're all contingent on the last thing. So it's a process, it's a multi-stage process, and that protects us for the time being. But there is new AI coming, and it's called agentic AI. And how it's going to work basically means that it will be able to start a process at the beginning, and it will be able to follow that process through multiple stages and get to the desired outcome at the end. So agentic AI is in development, and it is something that is going to be much more challenging for interior designers. So I've got a nasty little diagram that I drew here of where we currently are, where we've got higher value projects, projects in the hundreds of thousands or the millions, and we've got lower value projects in the, low thousands or maybe the 10,000s or whatever. And that's where we currently operate as humans. So we offer a human-based service to higher and lower value clients, but there's a cutoff because we can't afford to operate below that line. There just isn't enough value in the project to make it worth our while as humans. What's coming with agentic AI is that it's going to be possible for the cost of the design service to drop down potentially to nothing, no cost to the user, because perhaps the supplier behind it will pick up the cost of the AI system. So we need to be prepared. Now, as agentic systems arrive, we're going to see all kinds of opportunities with it using those systems. And of course, ideally, what we want to try to do is pull up our business and make it so successful and so outstanding that we still have a seat to sit in when the music stops and some of our competitors lose out to the less expensive systems. So we have to have this in mind. And I think it's why it's important to be working with AI now, so you can understand its power and what it can do, and you can take maximum advantage of that. Now, of course, commercial break, this is what we do in bootcamp. In bootcamp, we look at your competitors and we discover your very particular skills and qualities that make you stand out. And we attempt to drag your business up to that higher level of client, with higher level clients. The next time it's running is 17th of September to the 17th of October, and I do have an early bird offer that runs out at the end of this month. So that is the final advert that I'm going to put in before I tell you exactly how you can access these systems. So I think you should be using AI because it increases your productivity, it improves the quality of your work, it saves time. It's actually really enjoyable because it's like working with a colleague. You know, these are highly sort of almost empathetic systems. It will allow you to keep up with or even overtake the competition. But really importantly, you'll get to know your enemy. You'll get to know what's coming. You'll understand how it works, and you'll be able to see opportunities for the future to work with it or to change, to pivot the way that you work in order to take greatest advantage of the opportunities at the time. And using these systems, at the moment, we can work with them to elevate our business. So the notes that I have that I'm delighted to share with you at no cost, just let me know if you want them, give much more in detailed instructions on how to work with these systems. But with OpenAI, the first thing you do is you go to the website and you sign up. From the website, you can get access to GPT-4. You can trial GPT 3.5, ChatGPT. You can trial that for free. It's not quite as good as GPT-4, so don't base your judgment on that entirely. You subscribe to a plan, which could be the free plan, and off you go. You can get started immediately. Midjourney is a little bit more complicated. Midjourney doesn't have an interface directly on the web. In order to access Midjourney, you have to sign up to a platform called Discord. Now, Discord is like, forgive me, I'm a bit of a nerd myself. So Discord is like Facebook for nerds. So it's a sort of a social platform, and Midjourney is located there. So if you want to use Midjourney, you go to Discord, you sign up with Discord, you install Discord, and then on Discord, you join the Midjourney server. As I say, I've got notes that will take you through that step by step. That sounds complicated, but it's actually quite intuitive. At the moment, if you want to use the paid version so that you get access to the full system, OpenAI, you get your chat GPT-4 membership monthly for $20 a month. There is a free version, not quite so hot, but free. Midjourney costs $10 a month. So that's how much these systems cost. So that was an enormous gallop, and I think it's probably quite a lot of information. As I say, I have been recording this. I'm going to send the link around. If anybody has any questions after the presentation that I can help you with, please ask. I'm really, really happy to answer questions. But for now, is there anybody that would like to ask any questions here and now in the moment about how these systems work? Yes, Nikki, do you please unmute yourselves and all join in. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, first of all, I would like to say that I've never been against AI, and I know there is a lot of discussion about this replacing interior designer job and blah, 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 but I could see the potential of the benefit of using it. So I got two small questions. One is does it make it like using Midjourney, for example, any AI to generate images to maybe present our concept, our idea to a client? Does it make it any less worthy or less? I got this feeling from people like saying, oh yeah, you didn't create that yourself. That's been created by the software. And the second one is it still worth you learning or using then CAD, SketchUp, and all this software?
Well, starting with the second question, I would say definitely. But the amazing thing about now with CAD, SketchUp, is that you can use AI for rendering SketchUp, and you can render really quickly, and you can get fantastic Midjourney type outcomes from your own work. So you can make your own work look like Midjourney. I think Midjourney is great for quick conceptual idea harvesting, but it is AI, and I'm not entirely convinced that Midjourney is quite as ethical yet as as I believe GPT-4 is. GPT-4. So for example, I could tell Midjourney to generate a room in the style of Kit Kemp, and it would do it. I can't tell OpenAI to generate a room in the style of Kit Kemp. It won't take that instruction. So the ethics are still developing, but I would say definitely it is still worth learning to do those 3D drawings. Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Thanks, Julia. I've got a question, which I also put in the chat. You recommended Midjourney, but why not DALL-E? Because that's also within the ChatGPT.
Yeah,
in one place.
Yeah, so have a look at DALL-E. If you're going to try, have a look at DALL-E because, you know, it comes as part of the package. In my opinion, DALL-E images are ugly, is the bottom line. I don't like the way they look, whereas Midjourney looks fantastic. Does that, sorry, Leo, did you get that?
Yeah, no, great. That's good enough reason. That's a very good reason.
Any other questions?
Me, please. This may sound a bit silly. Now, all these images obviously are absolutely glorious, and you generate this lovely image. And I don't know if this is something as simply as not a factor. Does this risk generating, dare I say, a completely unrealistic expectation on behalf of the client that they're going to get something that is not actually physically possible in their room? And I would never want to say, oh no, well, you actually can't have quite that. And, you know, the SketchUp drawings that we've been doing, it's been really nice that, you know, hey, the room looks an awful lot like what we drew, but because SketchUp is just, you know, a bit just kind of blocked out, the actual room looks better than the image, whereas some of these images are so fantastic that you think, are we just living in this alternative universe, not real? Now, I'm betraying my own age and development there, that I live, you know, in the real world rather than the virtual one. But sorry, does that sound completely silly, or is that
no, not at all. I mean, I think it's a bit like, you know, when an estate agent virtually stages an empty space and they make it look like you can get so much more into the room than you actually can. Or
Yes.
if you're doing, you know, if we're decorating a show house and you put in a tiny bed to make it look like the bedroom's bigger. So that all comes down to how you manage your clients and how you present things and so on. I imagine there could be quite naive designers who might rely on it, and they would come a cropper because they would think that they were going to be able to achieve the thing that they thought they'd be able to achieve, and it wouldn't be possible. I think that really that is a job for interior designers to know the real potential of a space and to present that to their client and to manage their client's expectations properly. We can all look at beautiful images of aspirational spaces and know that we can't actually have that because that's just not what we've got at home. So I think it's just a case of managing things, really, Anna.
I know it does make sense. I know that if I show them my own photos, I do always point out, please note that, you know, this isn't actually how this family lives. I have styled the space. I have removed all the detritus of everyday life, and I have put a lovely plant where actually you'd have your breakfast, you know, or something.
I think we're all learning to live with this stuff, and none of us wants a really disappointed client at the end of the presentations, which is why I think continuing to work with SketchUp or 3D modeling and maybe using AI for
I still draw by hand. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
So
any other questions? How do you feel about it? Have I just really depressed everybody?
No, not at
all.
I will admit it's a bit scary. And recognizing the need, as you pointed out at the end, that recognizing the need that we really do need to learn about this rather than just go, oh my God, I don't want to be taken over by a bot.
Yes.
And master it rather than letting it master us. There is always that slight fear in general about technology. When do we hit the point that we really are not required and everything in life is dictated by a bot of some kind?
Well, I think
learning to manage it, I think, is important.
I think that's a good realization to have in the back of your mind, because there might come a time that we need to agitate politically in order to, you know, have the situation considered. But for now, these are systems that will give you back 2/3 of the time that you would normally spend on a project, will give you clarity, give you confidence, will produce really good outcomes, can absolutely be easily brought into your daily work. And if, my argument is if your competition is using them, I think you have to be using them as well. And pretty soon, the other thing to say is that right now, everybody is learning how to use these things. So it's fine to mess up. It's fine to be a bit messy. It's fine to be experimental, because nobody really knows how to use them terribly well, or people are just learning. So I would really encourage you to experiment, to have a go, to try out the free models and see how you get on. If you want any further information that I can help you with, please just ask. If you want me to send you the more detailed notes, I'm happy to email those out. Just send me an email and I'll send them out to you. They include all of the access information. They include all of the prompts that I used to make today's presentation. And they include the materials that the AI produced in response to those prompts. So you can have a little look and see, what went in, what came out. But I would just encourage you to use it and see how you get on. I realize that we're running a bit late now and I don't want to hold people up, so please feel free to head off. But does anybody here have any questions that they'd like to continue on with in the meantime? Yes, Sarah.
Just a quickie on the prompt for the when it gave it with 4 options for Midjourney, and you could upvote one of them. If you'd click the one below, which was vary, does that give you the option to then vary the prompt, presumably?
Well, yes, you can vary the prompt, or you can just let it regenerate and have another go. But
okay.
But in the sticking more to that particular one that you've chosen, so it would do some variations around that.
Okay.
There's things like there's a lasso tool in there, and you can draw little marquees around bits of the picture and tell it only to vary those bits. So you can get quite fiddly with it. And there are loads of YouTube tutorials that will show you how to do that. The other thing is, if you join Midjourney and you go onto the Discord server where Midjourney lives, there's galleries of other people's work, and you can read the prompts that they put in order to generate the image that they've got. So you can actually look at other people's prompts and see what they're writing in order to get the outcomes that they're getting. So that can be quite instructional as well. Yes. Any other questions?
I just want to say, I just tried to download ChatGPT and it doesn't want to do it on my version of Mac. So, you just have to have a fair, I think you have to have 14 and onwards.
Okay.
Which is really understandable, but just flagging that for others.
Is that operating system?
Yes, sorry, yes, I've got
Right.
version 12.6 and it needs version 14 or up.
Okay. But you can also use GPT through a web browser. You don't have to download the app. You can actually just intermediate direct with it on the web. So you can use it that way too. I really recommend it. I mean, I know that I may one day come to hate it, but right now I absolutely love it. It's just given me back so much time, and I really enjoy working with it. I mean, any questions, please get in touch. Anyone here today with anything to add? Are the boot campers still using it? Yes, you all are. Okay. And would you recommend it?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I was looking yesterday at my social media strategy. Clearly, need to get on that. And yeah, just putting prompts in and just, the information that it comes out with, you basically just get a whole plan. It's brilliant, and then you just copy and paste it, and then you just need to do it.
Yeah, sadly, it doesn't do that bit yet for you, Anne.
No, not yet. But yeah, it's brilliant. I think it's really good.
Cool. Okay, well, I think we're coming up on the hour, so I'm going to shut down.
Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you so
huge,
much.
Thank you
huge
very
pleasure.
much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Thank you
very,
so
very
much.
much.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Bye.
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 Bye.